as the City of Tshwane scrambles to contain a cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal. Renowned class action attorney Andries Nkome says the Metro Municipality bears responsibility to monitor that tankers deliver quality water to the most affected residents. He adds that the city has not invested in water purification mechanisms, but that, as it may be, what legal recourse do their bereaved families in Hammanskraal have? Let's explore this a little bit further. We're joined now by attorney Andries Nkome. Andries, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. We'll divide it into two. One, we'll talk specifically about the 17, but then we will broaden it a little bit more and talk about the constitutional obligation of providing clean water. There is currently still not a clear picture as to where actually is the source of this cholera. The networks that have been tested so far are seemingly not indicating that there is an existence of the bacteria there, but there is, of course, a sense that it could be in the tankers, and those who are contracted to deliver the water via those tankers maybe could have not used the proper places where that water should be taken. Is that the kind of information that you would want to have were you to pursue this class action lawsuit?
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. Indeed, yes, but I should mention that the residents of Hammanskraal have got a right to go and sue the municipality for its failure to comply with its obligations to deliver clean water to them. What we know is that the Water Act stipulates that the municipality carries a responsibility of testing at the point of consumption water, which therefore means that whether you deliver water by pipeline or whether you deliver water by tap or by a tanker, you carry a responsibility of making sure that the residents get the best quality water that is supposed to be consumed by them. Now, in Tshwane, we are not able today to tell from what has been told by the municipality that the water is of a poor quality. But whoever that has had a claim as a result of consumption of the water, for example, the death of family members, or those that have been affected that are lying in hospital as we speak, they carry responsibility of proving that as a result of the consumption of the dirty water that Tshwane delivers, they then suffer the losses that they suffer. So clearly, yes, the citizens have got a right, and they can successfully sue the municipality.
Yeah. Where do they get that right? I mean, what does the law say around, for example, cholera? My tongue is twisted. Cholera it occurs naturally, I believe, in the atmosphere, especially in areas where there's ocean, there's moist, and then there's there are plants that grow that actually use this bacteria, but then it will grow from there and become dangerous when it is in humans, and it can be transported from wherever into South Africa, or it can come from South Africa for that matter. But when that kind of a natural process happens, what does the law say about those who could be held responsible?
The Water Act makes it the responsibility of the municipality to convey and deliver water to its citizens. Now, the level of quality that water has is also prescribed in terms of the law. Now, if the municipality fails to deliver the water quality as per the prescriptions of the Act, the citizens then have got an obligation, a right to go and sue the municipality for its failure to do as it's required. Like, for example, Tshwane delivers water to many other parts of the municipality other than Hammanskraal. And we know that many other parts of the city of Hammanskraal or of the city of Tshwane are not affected by this cholera outbreak. So therefore it means the city has failed to deliver water quality of a better quality or the same quality to the same Hammanskraal as it does to other parts of its city. Yeah. And clearly, that says there is inequality in the treatment of the Tshwane citizens. So in respect of the extent of damage, like for example, you would have chronic ailments that arise as a result of the water consumption. Whoever has suffered damages has got a responsibility, a duty, to prove that I consumed the water, I fell sick, and therefore the extent of my damages would be this, for me to prove before a court, for that court to order that Tshwane is supposed to compensate me.
Yeah, and you're saying this is irrespective whether it's water coming from the Themba water treatment plant or it is water that was delivered on behalf of the city by a contracted individual who owns a tanker.
What we know about the large parts of Hammanskraal is that the municipality has issued out tenders for the delivery of water through water tankers. Now, the municipality, one, does not assess the points of collection of the water points or of the water tankers, but the Act makes it a requisite that the municipality must test water at the point of consumption, which therefore means in as much as the tanker might collect either at a borehole or at a river or at a pipeline, the municipality carries a responsibility to check that the water that's consumed by its citizens is of a high quality, of a good quality as prescribed by the Act. Yeah. So I know for a fact, that simply because also I'm from Hammanskraal, I know that the municipalities don't test water at the collection points, and therefore they cannot then say they are exonerated from the responsibility of having caused the deaths as well as the injuries or the ailments that people are suffering from, that are lying in the hospital as we speak.
Could we take this further then to say, I mean, the city has issued a notice now to say, well, don't use the water that's coming from the tap, boil water, and don't use water that comes from unconfirmed sources. Could we say then, if now, from that point of that announcement, people contract cholera, would they still be able to go back to the state and say, you are still responsible?
You would remember that the state will, or the city will not be able to state at what point have people been able to suffer as a result of water consumption. Like, for example, the issue from Hammanskraal has been there for the past 10, if not more, years. So therefore, it means that, one, the city carries the responsibility of providing water, and two, people that go on and consume the water, like, for example, what we heard is that people must put in bleach in their waters. That is not a way in preventing cholera, and therefore, anybody that suffers as a result of consumption of the water, even if it's post the advertisement by the municipality that people must not consume the water.
All right, Andries, are you still there?
I'm still here, yes, sir.
All right, you're still there. So here's the other conversation. So this is the one around the cholera, and certainly we can expand a little bit on it. But I was listening earlier to the DG. The DG says, right, the responsibility to provide water based on the Constitution of South Africa is lying at local government. They are the ones who are supposed to provide water and sanitation. National is the regulator, and they give the city grants to be able to maintain the infrastructure, but it is also the responsibility of the city to sell the water and be self-sustaining and be able to keep up that infrastructure. As you put it, it's close to 2 decades now. Never mind the cholera, just the quality of the water in Hammanskraal has not been, in the words of the mayor, at the constitutional required level. Based on that alone, is the community able to then say, well, we will sue the state for that?
Look, the Act is very clear. It puts the responsibility of dispensing water to a local municipality. It also puts the responsibility to determine the quality of the water to the local municipality. But it does not exonerate the government in its overall responsibility and obligation in making sure that people's lives, basic human rights, are adhered to. So therefore, in my view, would best be able to go and prove a claim against Tshwane municipality, would also be able to go and prove a claim against the national government, simply because over the long period of time that people in Hammanskraal have had problems with the water quality that they had, the national government and the provincial government were to have taken responsibility and taken it upon themselves to improve on the quality of life, quality of water that the Hammanskraal municipality or Tshwane municipality was providing, but they never did that. So I would easily be able to go and prove a claim against both national, provincial, as well as local government.
Yeah, and the reasoning or the excuse, for lack of a better word, or the defense that could be mounted, for example, that says, oh, well, it's the previous administration's fault. They did not upgrade these facilities. We only inherited this infrastructure in 2016. How would you navigate that?
The law is very clear. It says every proceeding injustice is an injustice that's supposed to be proven in court, and you are allowed to win on that basis, which therefore means every day that you receive dirty water, you give the responsibility to that disseminating entity. And therefore, nobody can go and say, at this time, it was the responsibility of the DA, the ANC, or any other party that had been in power at the time. All that we need to do is to say, as at today, as we speak, and I know for a fact that for the past 10 years, if not more, the residents of Hammanskraal have been having dirty water, and it's been changing hands politically within the municipality. So it's not going to be an excuse that any party runs away from to make sure that those people that have been affected are compensated.
EFF, Andries, saying tomorrow they are going to open a criminal case. Now, you have it's easy to say a law, a civil matter. It's the city. The city must pay the people compensation like listeriosis. It was much easier. It's a company. When you go and open a criminal case now against the city, who becomes arrested?
The head honcho in a municipality would be the one responsible for charges that would be placed criminal. Like, for example, the end result of a criminal charge would be imprisonment, whilst the end result of a civil suit would be compensation. Now, when the EFF says it's going to lay criminal charges against the acting municipal manager, possibly as well as the mayor of the city, it therefore says for their failure to carry out their responsibilities, they foresaw the likelihood that people could die as a result of consumption of the contaminated water in Hammanskraal, and essentially they were culpably guilty of having caused the deaths. So therefore the court could easily impose a sentence for imprisonment for the offense of culpable homicide. But the extent of proving that, or the owners, the burden of proving that responsibility is a bit higher than what you would in an instance where you are supposed to prove that you are supposed to be compensated. You've got to prove beyond reasonable doubt that whoever acts in the municipality foresaw the possibility of you dying as a result of the consuming the water, and therefore he acted recklessly and negligently and did not care that you would at the end of the day die. Whilst in proving that you are supposed to be compensated, you are supposed to prove on a balance of probabilities. The balance being that the state foresaw your harm or damage, but either way, continue to act and disseminate the contaminated water.
Yeah. So an accounting officer in that instance would have had to make particular decisions, right? That say the Royal waste water treatment plant would require 300 million rands to fix, but you did not do that. You maybe gave it 100 million, and so it was short, and it was never really fixed, and part of that 100 million was stolen, and it went somewhere else. Would you say then the municipal manager, the city manager, as the accounting officer, would be the one who would need to account for that? Because politicians normally say, well, we're just in charge of policy, not really the actual operations.
Look, it has happened over a long time. In a city, you would have the accounting officer being the municipal manager, essentially the equivalent of a CEO in a company. But you also have the head honcho, essentially the equivalent of a president, being the mayor. Now, those people are supposed to be the ones that get into office and make sure that policy is aligned such that it affects and improves the lives of people in a particular city, like, for example, in Hammanskraal. Now, the quality of water that is disseminated in Hammanskraal is not the same as the quality of water that's disseminated in the east of the city, where more affluent people in the city of Tshwane reside. It was the decision of those officers that caused the municipality to continue disseminating the dirty water in Hammanskraal. And essentially, I think if I were sitting as a judge, I would easily be able to say the municipality foresaw the possibility of people dying as a result of disseminating the dirty water, and therefore they ought to be charged and answer for the deaths as well as the injuries and the infections that took place as a result of the consumption.
Yeah. What's the body of evidence that you would need to collect here? I think with the listeriosis case, for example, there are a lot of body of evidence that they needed to go to. They needed to go to the factory, they needed to take samples, and so on and so forth. What's the body of evidence would you require here?
Essentially, you would go to the end result. The end result being that a doctor should ascertain and confirm that you suffer as a result of consuming contaminated water. Now, the next part of the testimony or the evidence would be that somebody must prove that the water quality is poorer than what has been prescribed by the law, one. And second, it is the very same water quality that affected you to suffer in the way that you did. So if we created that nexus, that connection between the contaminated water as well as your illness, essentially, you are able easily to say that the deciding body, the deciding individual or character in the municipality is the one that says this kind of water must be conveyed to this particular person, Andries, and as a result, Andries fell sick, and therefore Andries is supposed to be able to claim against the municipality and be compensated for it.
Andries, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on, bringing that clarity for us there. Renowned class action attorney there, Andries Nkome, saying the people of Hammanskraal certainly have a case that they can mount against the city, but even further, they can even mount it against the national government itself, considering the time that this particular water crisis has been in existence.